Hello, everybody. My name is Ed. I'm in my armchair, and the smoking lamp is lit. Guess what I'm smoking today? My favorite pipe. Look at this. Beauty. This is the Castello Sea Rock. It might even be a boom ball. I don't think so. But I'll tell you what this is. This pipe. Now, I am not a clencher, but this has to be the most perfect clenching pipe in the world. Just look at this. It just falls naturally. The stem is a little bit wider, but very thin. Yes. A beautiful pipe it is. And yes, it is a very light pipe. Yay! Yay! Memorial Day is coming up. And I'd been thinking about it. And I'm going to tell you two stories, which I really have not told too many times. But the first story is important to make the second one make a little sense. So here it goes. Might be a little long, but here it goes. As you may know, I'm in the Navy, was in the Navy during Vietnam. Went on 2 different cruises, well actually starting a third, but there was a time on our second cruise, it was a bad cruise. We'd been shot at quite a few times, hit. But this particular day, we had a gun mount. We have 2 gun mounts. The one on the rear was broken. We even had an advisor come in to try to fix it. But we were on the gun line off Vietnam, fairly close off Vietnam. And so we were just firing using the one gun and overusing it. In fact, we had a all hands working party bringing ammo from the rear gun up to the front. And we had a gun mount blow up. All hands on deck, general quarters. Again, I'm a signalman, so I went up to the signal bridge. I was about in midships at that time. And there was actually fragments of glass on the signal bridge. And that's when I found out that the gun mount had blown up. I looked down, and me and another guy just at the same time had a gunman overboard. My job was the boat signalman. So as soon as we had somebody overboard, my new quarters was on the boat. So I grabbed my signalman gear, got on the boat, got a few people, just grabbed who we could, got the boat down, and went to get this body. Hate to say, that was my first dead body I'd ever seen. And we had to drag him off this water, put him on the boat. At that time, we actually were being fired upon. Actually, the ship was being fired upon, but I still remember one explosion kind of close to us. Eventually, we got the body on board, and I went back up to the signal bridge. And in the meantime, what happened is our ship couldn't do anything. We had ammo throughout the whole ship, and so we couldn't have engines going or anything of that nature because of the ammo, some of which was definitely compromised. So all we can do was slowly let ourselves drift out to sea. And again, we were being fired upon. And we had in the vicinity a cruiser. Now, a cruiser is just a little bit smaller than a battleship. So the guns are, instead of a 16-inch guns on the battleship, this was only 14 inches. Still heavy-duty stuff, plus all kinds of other guns and stuff on it. And that cruiser literally got between us, again, we weren't that far offshore, got between us and shore, and they basically said to all Army, Marines that were in that vicinity, get down, because we are going to shoot anything that moves. And that cruiser was just, the guns were blazing, if you will, shooting at anything until we got out far enough out to sea to not be in an issue. 4 people died that day, 3 of which were people I knew. One of them was a fairly nice friend, and one, unfortunately, that consultant was there, and he passed away. So I'm telling you this story basically for the next story. So the next part of this was something that happened many years later. I have a sister who went to college, George Washington University in Washington, D.C., went to law school, and been involved in politics and communications ever since. And obviously knew Washington, D.C. Once my parents retired, so this was about 1985. One of the times going out to see them, what I would do is spend a day or so in Washington, D.C., and then get out to Pennsylvania. So the first time that I went there, and my sister, and the Vietnam Memorial at that point had been completely built, and it was my first time seeing it. I was such in awe of that. It was such a weird feeling that I can't describe. So I went down into it, but I didn't have what it takes to check out the guys that died on my ship. It was too much for me. Just being in that museum, monument. They have stations on either side as you go down that have books where you could look up a person and then it would tell you exactly what section of the wall they were on. I could not go to those things to find out where they were, where the guys were. Just amazing. The next time I went to Washington, D.C., a few years later, kind of the same way. So I think it was the third time that I'd ever been down to the Vietnam Memorial that I actually had what it takes and looked up these guys. Because although 3 of them died that day, one of them, the one that was my friend, actually, he passed away they sent him to Texas, and he passed away close to 2.5 months later. So I finally went to actually view them on the wall 3 times before I could do that. And then one other thing, I had a friend who was a corpsman, and he got transferred off the ship way before I left the Navy. And I had simply heard somebody say that they think he got killed. And had no way of following up on it. And I got out of the Navy. So on that third trip, I also did something that was just terrible. I can't believe that I didn't, again, have what it takes. But I finally looked up in that book his name. And I mean, I was shaking. Just the whole thought. Luckily for me, I could not find his name. Meaning, he did not die at that time. What a relief, but amazing what that memorial does to you. So, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. Think about what that means. Because it means a lot to me. Now, I would like to point out that I was on a ship in Vietnam, although I was the boat signalman, meaning on a few occasions our boat had to go up some rivers to pick up somebody. Da Nang Harbor a few times that I would get off the ship to get stuff. But I wasn't in the jungle. I can't imagine being in that jungle in Vietnam. So I think about Memorial Day a little differently every year. Of course, you think about it all the time. As I said, this is one of the first times I've ever told these stories. But I'm getting older, and I guess I just wanted to say it to somebody. Memorial Day is coming up. Realize what Memorial Day truly means. Think about it. think about these people. Think of what it did to me. But then you think, what about the families? What about the friends of the people who have passed away? What they're going through? I thank you for sticking around and watching this, hearing me just thank you. Well, I hope you like this. Hope you stuck around for it. And if you did, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And do remember, if you don't like this, you're not going to get to heaven. So on this Memorial Day, may your smoking lamp always be lit. And take care out there.